I'm Diane.
And I'm Julian with the Redwood City Public Library.
And welcome to Teen Craft Club.
Today, we're going to build candle lanterns made out of wooden building blocks.
And in your kit, you're going to receive a copy of The Mouse and the Motorcycle by beloved children's author Beverly Cleary, who recently passed away. So we just want to honor her literature legacy and give you a copy.
And once again, we'd like to thank the Friends of the Library for making this happen. And let's get started. So, what is in the kit for you to use is 1 jar of Gorilla Glue, which is really strong stuff, so be careful with this stuff. You'll have a popsicle stick so you can use the glue without getting it on your fingers. An electric candle, batteries not included, so ask mom and dad for a couple. A piece of sandpaper that you'll use at the end, and about 80 little wooden blocks that you're going to use for decor, as well as a nice little plastic tarp. And trust me, this will be very handy when you get glue on the counter. Mom and dad will be happy with that. At home, what you could ideally use is a straight edge ruler. A straight edge ruler is actually a right angle ruler like this. But if you don't have that, do not worry. You can use anything that's flat that you can put like this. So you can use the books, you can use 2 rulers together, as long as you have a right angle like this. That's all you need. All right, let's get started. So the main parts that you have to make for the lantern is you're gonna have 2 bases, and then we're gonna make 4 columns to stand it on, and then the candle will go in the middle. So the first thing you wanna do is get your book or your rulers or whatever you have straight and put them together like this. And the whole idea is that you want to use this right angle because we're going to use this to shape all our pieces when we put them together. And you use the wood glue with your popsicle stick. I also did it with Q-tips. I just do not recommend using too much glue because this stuff is strong. And it'll go everywhere. But if it does, do not worry. You have the sandpaper, and we'll do it at the end. I'll let you know what to do if you get some pieces, because it'll definitely happen to me. So we're first gonna make a base. We're gonna take a few pieces. By the way, you're gonna have a couple pieces that have labels on it. You're more than welcome to use it, but I'd recommend putting them on the bottom of the base or somewhere where people don't see it, just so it's not sticking out on your lantern. So I'm gonna use it for my first base. Your first base is gonna be 2 pieces like this, and then 6 pieces perpendicular the other way like this. Now you have 80 pieces, and I want to let you know that not all of the pieces are perfectly together, so you'll need 72 pieces to make everything. If you find pieces like this that are a little jagged and you don't think it's going to work, I'd recommend not using it for the base. The base needs to be pretty solid, and you'll know when you place them like this. I'm not putting any glue on, I'm just taking a look visually how it's gonna end up. Oh, sorry, 2 more pieces. You're gonna do 2 rows of 6 like this. So I'm just gonna place it, see how it looks. And 2 more on the edge like this. All right, so you're gonna do this 2 times. This is your first base. You see it's pretty wide. It's gonna have columns here, and it's wide enough to put a candle in the middle. All right, I feel these pieces are gonna work. This one's a little jagged, but I think we're gonna live with it. What you're gonna do is try and keep these pieces somewhat together. We're gonna use the wood glue with the popsicle stick, and every edge that is gonna touch another block, we're gonna put a little bit of glue on. So this piece, as you saw, is gonna have here and here. So I'm gonna put edges and edges here. You really don't need a lot of glue. Trust me, the first time I tried this is already too much. There we go. And a little bit on the tip. I'd like to say I did this on purpose, but this is a good example. You're gonna sometimes have glue that sticks out like this. If this happens, do not blot it out while you're building the thing. It's okay, just let it dry. That's what the sandpaper is for. When the thing's all dried up and stuff, you can sand it down, and that way you won't mess with the structure and it'll be fine. Wood glue, honestly, after 10 minutes will be solid as a rock. And if it ever looks a little unstable, just wait it out a little bit. So I'm gonna do this piece. There's already plenty of glue on those edges. I'm just gonna put it on the other edge. Okay, and here's our base. So you saw in the beginning, I started using a little too much glue. It's gonna stick out. That's okay. Let it dry and we can sand it later when we're attaching everything. And you just wanna keep the pieces together. There's a good chance it's stuck to the bottom, but it's better to let it dry a little bit and then remove it. But this is what the base is gonna look like. And we're gonna make a second one. This is for the bottom, and we're gonna make one for the top. And then we're gonna make the 4 columns to go with it. So we're gonna make 2 of these. All right, and we're back. And I went ahead and made our second base. That's one's gonna be on the bottom and then one on the top. So I wanted to show 2. You know, so there's sometimes a little bit of glue that gets on the seep, and I said to leave it be, and that's a-okay. Stuff like this that sticks out, that's what the sandpaper is for. So you'll just wanna do this and it'll come right out. Also, in case you got a glue on your hands, because Gorilla Glue is strong, I went like this and it comes off. So I highly recommend doing that so you don't have to go wash your hands all the time. But I also noticed I put a fair amount of glue on the books. So if you're gonna look for anything straight edge like this to make your edge, I'd recommend rulers, or just make sure it's something that you or mom and dad are okay having messed up, because I didn't want any more glue on the books. So now we're gonna start making our columns. We're gonna make 4 columns. For each column, we're gonna need 8 pieces. And this is where you want to set your box ahead of time, because you really wanna make each column the same length. And some of these pieces could be a little broken or jagged, and it might make a crooked column. So what I like doing is setting them up before I put any glue and making sure that they're around the same height. And it looks like it's gonna be the same height. If you get really close, it's not the end of the world. You can sand one part down, or we gave you 8 extra pieces to work with. So if it's really bad, I would say just replace it. It's okay. So we're gonna first make one. And you only need a little bit of glue. And you notice I'm just making sure they're alongside the straight edge so that it's perfectly straight. You don't want a crooked column. If it looks uneven, the first minute of adding the glue, you can still move it around a little, so I recommend that. While that one's setting, I'm just gonna do the other one on the other edge. So we have 2 pieces. Now, it's only been a minute, and this one's already gonna be a lot more solid than this one. So I'm gonna see if I can move this without. It did stick a little. So I'm gonna show you with the sandpaper. Scoop it under like this. And any part that sticks, look, okay, came off nicely. Now, we're gonna put these 2 together. So it makes one piece like this, and it'll be a lot more solid. And this one, you want to make sure you have the edge, because the real tricky part is you want to make sure that this is even right here and here. So I'm going to apply a little more glue here, put them together, and it'll be a lot more solid. There we go. I'm going to use the sandpaper again to scoop under the bottom. And we have ourselves a column. You're going to make 4 of these, 1 for each corner. There we go. That's good. And just give it 5 minutes to set before you start assembling the next step. All right, so I have my 2 bases, and I just made my 4 columns like this. So now we get to assemble the thing. So the first part, this could be a little tricky just because since when the glue is wet, it doesn't stay together too much. So what I recommend is putting one upright like this for the first 2. like so. And I'm gonna apply glue right here, and right here, and we're gonna set them. So you notice that one side is longer than the other side? I'm gonna put the long side on the bottom like this. See, it's shaped more like a rectangle. The longer side's gonna be here. Okay, I'm putting pressure, but the glue is gonna do the work. I'm just gonna give it 5 minutes like this before I'm gonna put it upright, and we're gonna put the other 2 columns in the top on. Okay, so it's been like 5 minutes. This stuff sets really quickly, so I think it's okay, but we're gonna very carefully, holding both pieces, move it up like this. Excellent. So we have our 2 more pieces. Remember, it's the rectangle. This is the long side, so you want the long edge to go along with that. And these ones, you can just put upright like this. So even though it's still drying, it's okay to start putting the top on, because what we're gonna do, we're gonna put the top on, we'll put a little glue, top on, and then it's good to put weight on it. And that way it'll really set in place really nicely. Put a few books on it, you can put the candle. Don't put your whole weight on it, but just a little bit of pressure will really help the glue set. And give this a good 10 minutes. Just let it set like this, and trust me, it will get very solid. This is a good time while it's still wet to just double check everything. You're happy that the edges are really at the edges, that's straight and all this stuff. You still have time to move any of the corners. This is the time to do it because you will not be able to do it in 10 minutes. All right, this looks good. Once this is dry, we're gonna make a little top on the top of the lantern, and we're almost done. While the rest of the tower or lantern is drying, we're gonna make a little top on it. It's gonna look really nice, and you can even put a little rope and be able to hang it if you'd like. So, with some of the remaining pieces, you're gonna make these upright. So they're not flat like this, they're gonna be up like this. And they're gonna look like this. Right now I'm placing them without the glue just to make sure that the edges are all good and look like it's set. And we're gonna build up, we're gonna stack this a little bit. We're gonna put 2 more on the edges like this, like so. So keep going. All right, cool. So I'm gonna take 2 pieces and without glue, put them in the middle like this. The only reason is we're gonna make another top here, and this is just gonna keep it up while we're adding glue while it's setting. So same thing, the last 4 pieces that we're gonna need to use. Here we are. And while the glue is setting, I'm just making sure everything's in place. You can use the ruler, make sure it is flat. This is the time to do it while the glue's setting. And I think I am done. So I'm gonna give this a minute to rest, actually. All right, so I made the little top. This is pretty much dried and set. And after a minute, this is already starting to set too. So I'm gonna gently just like when you used to play Jenga, take these blocks out carefully. These are the ones we didn't put glue in, remember? So now we have our little top cage. And you wanna just put it smack in the middle. I'm just eyeballing it here. And I like where it's going. And we're gonna put some glue and set it on top too. So bird's eye view, just make sure it's even. If you have a ruler, you can also just measure it if you want to be precise. I just want to make sure it's in the middle. And there we go. So this could be decorative, but the reason that we put a little spot here is if you have a little bit of rope or something, you can hang this. It's however you see fit. And just to make sure, there we go. Just give it another 10, I swear to you, in like 10-15 minutes, it's gonna be super solid and ready to go, and you have yourself a lantern. Okay, we hope you had a ton of fun making your lanterns.
Yeah, and please remember that we have craft distribution on the fourth Wednesday of every month. So next month it'll be May 26th, 3 p.m. behind the downtown library.
And once again, we'd like to thank the Friends of the Library for allowing us to make this happen. And we'll see you next month.